Hi, welcome to the small shed. This week we've got a new addition in here. See you in a minute. Now, last week I left the planer cart saying that all I needed to do was fit the top. Done that, and needless to say it soon got full. Let me just quickly run you through how I got to this point. It doesn't take a lot, it's just a little bit of work on the cutting the timber itself. Chop that down with the TS55 track saw, cut it down to length, cut it to width. I then fitted two runners underneath which would slide in and out of the rails on the top of this. Finish the top, it can be removed if I want to, or swapped for something different, but you've then got access to the planer thicknesser without too much hassle. The only question now is what I do with the top before it gets too full of rubbish, and it just so happens that I think we've got something which will fill the space nicely. Yeah. Just made for the job. Right, so here we have the new baby. It's an old Axminster lathe. I believe it's had a new motor not in the too far distant past. I know its history. It was originally owned by the woodturning club that I'm in. What that means, from what I've seen, is that it didn't do anything much of the time because they sit in the cupboard for nearly all their life and get used probably 4 or 5 times a year when they have turning sessions, maybe a bit more than that, but you know, it doesn't get a lot of use, and that's only for a couple of hours a night. I suppose what it does mean is that you get idiots like me using it, which could cause damage, but by and large it spent its early years doing that. It was then bought by the guy who is now the chairman of the woodturning club. He's been using it as a lathe. He started on it and then has used it, but it's now developed into the stage where it was his third lathe. and I'm told his wife said either the lathe goes or I go, and he took the foolish decision to part with the lathe. There's nothing I can do with it other than show it and say it's there. I may well start and give it a clean up and wipe down. It looks in pretty good condition. I've got to get a chuck for it. It's just come with 2 centres at the moment and a thing to knock the Morse taper out with. I've got no wood turning tools, so I can't test it, but that's it. That's what's coming into the shed. I didn't think I'd be getting a lathe. I did flirt with the idea just before Christmas and looked at something very, very similar to this, but the price wasn't quite right. I got to the point of this was buying it nearly new, and they then decided that the prices that they'd got on display were wrong and wanted to charge me another 50 quid or something, so in the end I said forget it. Glad I did, because this has cost about 1/3 of the cost, so it just wants a bit of a clean up. I don't know whether to give it I may well give it a paint, I don't know. It's one of these things that'll just keep me good, I suppose, but it won't actually serve any useful purpose. But the main thing I think is to now get myself a suitable chuck, get some wood turning tools, get something to sharpen them with, and we're in business. It will probably stay here. The downside of that is that it will throw all of the wood shavings into the clamps, but that's probably the best place to be throwing all the rubbish because it's the easiest to clean. I mean, I'll have to move the heater from the floor because otherwise we'll have the shed on fire otherwise. But really I haven't got a lot more room to put it anywhere. I might swing it round to under the window actually, we'll see. But it's on a mobile cart, it's on its own base as well. I may well, as I say, take it off that, clean that up as well. I don't know, it's just cosmetics really. But it's been well looked after. I think you can tell by the effort that's been put into putting the NVT switch on it. Is it NVR, NVT? I don't know, the on-off switch anyway. And it's got the emergency stop on it that somebody's taken the trouble to put on. Very nicely mounted on a metal plate that's bolted to the front. So yeah, all in all I'm very pleased with it. It's something I can now start and having a play with, and perhaps we'll start with the odd pen or two just to get into doing fairly small things. But that's it. Not a lot to show you this week I'm afraid, but at least it's a fairly major step forward for the shed in that we've now got the cart finished and a lathe on it. Well, I had hoped to be able to show you some results of using the lathe, but it's probably only in my time 2 or 3 days before we go off on holiday to New Zealand for 4 weeks now, so by the time you're watching this I'll probably just have landed and be jet lagged, but I haven't really had time to go out and get stuff to get it running properly and have a play with it. But hopefully as soon as we get back and get through jet lag and that, we'll be up and running and doing something with it. Hope to see you next week. We'll have something different I hope, and I'll see you then. Bye.